Thank you so much for coming. If you're not here, then thank you. These noses are amazing. Okay, if you've seen one of these before, then it's the same as last time, but with different. Welcome to the session. I hope you'll all be hearing a whole bunch of new wondrous facts about software engineering. It's happening. And if for some strange reason you do not find it funny, please give us. That need not pose a problem. I haven't actually got your money yet, but please do some donating stuff. It's all, you can do the most terrible things in the name of gaining funds, apparently, and I'm kind of like living proof of that. So there you go. And I've been rhyming funny and money for nearly 40 years now. So you're going to thank you so much to the English language for delivering that to me. It's wonderful. Okay, so I've been writing poems for quite some time. It's not getting any easier. Although the website cheese.com has helped to make it cheesier. Hey! And one important fact to make you'll have to take from me, this session, it was written without ChatGPT earlier today. That's how it works, folks. Actually, it does write better poetry than me, which is depressing for a very large number of reasons. I can't make many promises about what you will find out. A bit on C# coding and what objects are about. But even if you concentrate, apply your brain cells many, here it comes, folks. I'm afraid it's most unlikely you'll learn where's the key marked any. Press any key to continue. And it has the leaning outcomes. I like leaning actually because it's leaning. Okay, fine. Moving swiftly on. So what is all this software stuff and why is learning it so tough? In this bit, we'll find out more. Get a handle on the software score. I'll just press a button like this. There you go. That's wonderful. Now, software, it is funny stuff. You can't hit it with a hammer, and sometimes it does misbehave. I blame the JavaScript programmer. But some people seem to live with software that does jar. Do you recall the last time you had to reboot your car? Actually, that slide's not aged very well. Anyone here driving Tesla? Moving on. Engineer. If you thought that engineers were simply folks with spanners who are lacking in their dress sense and have appalling manners, then stick around and learn stuff. There is no need to fear. Dear audience, I bring you the software engineer. Software engineers do cunning stuff at high-level design. And if the job goes down the tubes, it's them that should resign. But if you want to upset one and see them spit and stammer, just refer to them in public as but a mere programmer. Hey. Now, working hard with metal is easy to relate, and just what makes a bridge good is not open to debate. But software, it is funny stuff. It's not physical, moreover. It's sometimes hard to tell just when your software will fall over. Okay. Yeah, that's, yes, Mr. Roll Over and Die. This slide has aged really badly. That's more like it. You can use the QR code to go on the Just Giving page and donate. So please do that. An orderly stampede is just fine. So please do that. And if you don't donate, I shall take the red nose off, and you'll see my nose is the same color as the nose. Yeah, moving on. That's better. When you build a bridge, you can make it using steel, and you'll know about the parts and how they'll work for real. But working with the software is a much more taxing thing. You can never quite be sure what errors it will bring. To make our software stronger and to get the best effects, the sharper person writes their code using objects. Oh, love it. Objects are just lumps of code that can be put together. It seems that writing code this way is really rather clever. People like objects. They know them quite well. Objects have properties like color, taste, and smell. Some objects do things, and useful they are too. Once you've made an object, you can make it work for you. An object is a melded lump, a data and code compaction. The data lets it store stuff. The code does all the actions. The things inside the object you would do well to remember are usually described as the object's members. That works. I'm okay with that. I'm happy with that. If you put code in with the object, the good thing that it brings is that it stops naughty programmers from doing dodgy things. That data, the member data is protected, and the thing that you can see is that all your clever methods can ensure integrity. Yay! Objects, they are really cool, all knowledgeable and smart. If you want to write good ones, C#'s the place to start. C# is a language, tells the system what to do. Just create some C# classes and they'll do your work for you. Someone told me, I bought a computer which will do half my work. And I said, why didn't you buy 2? Moving on. There you are. C# Programming Yellow Book, available on Amazon. And yes, I know you can get printed ones and everything. It's got words in. And the thing about it, it takes ages to color in all the O's. Yeah, definitely does. Moving on. Okay. Here's a sample class. In C# it is written. It contains a string data member, poem storage. It's permitting. The poem text is private to hide it from the world. You don't want a person changing it for some words that don't rhyme. To get our method poem to the outside world, we use the message tell. This will print out our poem words on the console. Put these words outside. To put the words inside our poem, we use the method store. This places our new masterpiece over what was there before. Good stuff. The C# you can see stores some poetry for me. The tell method call shows it on the console. Yeah, still good, still hold it together. What we have been showing is a programming creation designed to show the principle of encapsulation. You hide the members in the objects to save them from corruption, then access them from methods. This is object-based construction. Certainly is. Encapsulation is one thing that makes us like our objects. The object receives messages and bad requests it rejects. Inheritance is useful as an object skill, and it is nothing like to do with a program that writes its will. Inheriting in this case means the stuff from mum and dad, picking up the good stuff along with all the bad. Though it's best if you avoid the sentiments that are harking. In the poem, this be the word from the poet Philip Larkin. I'll link there. It's a depressing poem, but it has its true bits to it. Look it up. It has rude words in too. That should make it more attractive. Your inheritance with objects means you build a family tree so classes can be based on what they should nearly be. We can now make a new classes a hierarchy, in fact, all springing from a base class, the start of all the action. Love it. The above you can see the poem family tree. Haiku is a 17-syllable verse form consisting of 3 metrical units of 5, 7, and 5 syllables. Haiku is tricky. Getting the counts right is hard. I got it wrong. That's the only haiku I've ever written. Haiku has a quality that I call obscurity. There it is. Odes are like what Keats wrote to earthenware in Greece. I think they're rubbish, and I've made a property. It indicates their drippiness. The higher, the more drippy. The amount of drugs that Keats took, I should really call them trippy. There once was a fellow named Miles who at rhyming had several styles. He once tried a limerick, but it turned out disastrous, and he had to revert back to prose. Limericks are 5-line poems, which are sometimes rather shady. Ones which have smut level 10 start, there once was a lady. If I think of a new type, for example, there is free verse, I simply add a new class that's down the tree I traverse. The new class can do everything the parent is providing. And you can change existing behaviors with a bit of overriding. There you go. There's my free verse. There's my parent object. There are all my child classes. Isn't that wonderful? Yes, I think so too. The method in the parent we might want to replace must now be marked as virtual, so overriding can take place. Now, technical stuff, technical break, not in rhyme. You might want to change the way the tell behaves depending on who's telling, and you do that by putting it as a virtual class in the parent, then the child can override it. This is all good stuff. It's software engineering. It's not rocket science. That's about rockets and science, but we're moving on now. Limericks can be smutty. We don't want the kids to hear. We override the tell method to keep us in the clear. So there we have a new tell method. When we've got the kids out, the thing that we can do is use the base behavior to tell the thing to you. So once we've done that, we can call the tell in the parent class. That will do the heavy lifting for us. Wonderful. So inheritance, it lets us use objects we made before. Although we would not let it stop as charging customers more. No, they're paying for your expertise. That's what they're paying for. Absolutely. With objects and good class design, great flexibility is what we get. But we haven't reached the very end of what objects can do yet. Modern programming note. Object hierarchies have their uses. They can bring lots of joy if you have a closely related set of items to deploy. But they can bring complications which can be hard to ignore. They are tricky things to manage when you use a data. You can't easily put objects in databases if you have a class hierarchy. It becomes a bit of a pain. So they're not so good for that. But for things like forms and components and game sprites and whatnot, they're wonderful. Oh, yes. Polymorphism is the last trick and very hard to rhyme with. A rhyming dictionary I could go and spend some time with. Another eye comes to me. Could this lecture be much worse? I could always do the rest of it in a cop-out called free verse, but I won't do that. Oh, no. Polymorphism. Polymorphism lets us think about the things that objects do. The action of our poems is to tell themselves to you, but there may be other objects that we may wish to see, for example, that also wish to tell themselves. For example, there's a story. Hey, the story objects, it would seem, look just a bit like the poem. When thinking of objects, we have many different kinds. The story, it has narrative. The poem, it has rhymes. But when you think how to use them, it might be just as well to think of these two different types having the action tell. Both classes have a method which when called will make them tell. Perhaps I could have a joke class, which could have one as well. When considering what the classes do, see in the C#, the proper place is to put the actions to be done inside an interface. There it is. This is the interface that gives our object voice. It lets us ask them to tell themselves in a manner of their choice. We say our poem can tell and get the message out by implementing interfaces, but there's no need to shout. Desperate stuff. A class which can do many things, Renaissance, if you like read a poem, print it out, and even ride a bike, maybe not that one, will show that it is clever, and with luck the world impress by implementing many interfaces to show off its success. Class poem, I tell, I print, I video. A very clever object with interfaces plenty. There is no upper limit, though I draw the line at 20, but for every interface you use to keep the compiler sane, the methods must be present which the interfaces contain. Otherwise, C# goes and won't compile it. Oh, yes. The poem is polymorphous, a virtual beast indeed, a versatile beast, sorry. Ask a poem to tell itself, and your request it will succeed. To a printer, it is different. With printing, it is good. To each user, the poem presents the face the user thinks it should. Polymorphism makes objects show off many faces. The same object can be utilized in lots of different places and in every single context. And this is the clever bit. The interface that it is used will always make it fit. This is good stuff. This. The rise of the duck. Yeah, this is kind of C# is a tough cookie when it comes to talking type. The compiler totes a big stick. With bad code, it's sure to gripe. But modern kinds of language about typing are less manic. Duck typing, you see. Okay, I can hear the laughter in the distance. Oh, yes, I can. Which is why the latest C# lets classes be dynamic. Where are all the cheese puns? Well, I've been thinking carefully about this, and I don't want to brie about the bush, the chèvre. This might be as good as it gets for cheese puns, but then again, I'll be damned if I do, and damned if I don't. Perhaps I should just write it an RE way I cameo and present it as a fait accompli. Yes! Moving swiftly on. And finally, community singing. Now, I was going to do this with a piano accompaniment, but then I thought this might fall foul of the stuff that detects copyright on YouTube. And so I thought I should just sing it without the piano. And if I do that, and you can all join in because the words will be up. If I do that, there's absolutely no chance that the system will pick up the song. So here we go. What would you say if I told of something that would help you get your software right? Hand me your cash and I'll tell you some more, and then I'll run off out of sight. Oh, I get by with a little bit of C#. I design with a little bit of C#. I must try with a little bit of C#. What do you do with a frown on your face and a program that you've got to write? Just open up Studio and get on the case. You can build the front end in one night. Oh, I get by with a little help from C#. Oh, I design with a little bit of C#. I must try with a little bit of C#. Do you need a new language? C# is the closest to heaven. Could it be a new language? Well, we are up to version 11. What do you do when it needs to be right and your project has run out of time? What do you do when you don't want to fight with constructions that feel like a crime? Oh, I get by with a little bit of C#. I design with a little bit of C#. I must try with a little bit of C#. Would you believe that this time it's for real, the good code we can now engineer? What makes the programs with greatest appeal leaves the customer nothing to fear. Oh, I get by with a little bit of C#. I design with a little bit of C#. I must try with a little bit of C#. Thank you and goodbye. No money refunded. Thank you so much. Buford's, thanks to everyone here. Now you can all go and have a beer, as will I. And we must never forget those helpful folks at .NET North. For all your cash, many thanks. You've paid into the do-good banks. So thank you so much for turning up. I'll do another one next year if they'll have me. I just hope everything worked because I'm just pushing this out into a vacuum. There could be a Dyson out there for all I know. And so I just hope you've enjoyed it and had fun and maybe even learned something. And with that, I will hand you back to my host with something which may or may not be the most. We'll call this proceedings to the close.